Hello, hello. Here we are again in our show. We have a business coach today. His name is Mitch Russo. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Arthur. It's great to see you.
So, no, it's a pleasure to have you in our show. But for our audience, if you can please tell us a little bit your story.
hmm Absolutely. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I lived there till I was about 19 years old. I then moved to Boston, and in Boston is where I started and built my software company. And then from there, I had never owned or built a company before, so it was literally from scratch. But we were very lucky. We made some good choices, and we were able to grow it to over 100 people. And 9 years later, we reached an agreement to sell the company for eight figures. So that was a great outcome for some kid from Brooklyn. Basically 9 years of hard work. $5,000 investment resulted in a much larger payout later. And then after that, I also got lucky again when I got to work with Tony Robbins. So Tony, myself, and another man named Chet Holmes built a company called Business Breakthroughs International together. And then after I finished up with Business Breakthroughs, I wrote two books. One of them is called The Invisible Organization, and it's a blueprint for taking your company virtual. The second book is called Power Tribes, and that's all about creating certification programs that make our clients a lot of money. And now what I do most of my day is I'm a business coach. I work with clients every day. I also build a software coaching platform for other coaches too. So in a nutshell, that's who I am and that's what I do.
Okay. So, by the way, because Tony is very famous, can you tell us something a little bit, let's say something when you were cooperating with Tony, something special, something that remains in your memory, or
Sure.
yeah.
A lot of people say to me, well, what's it like working with Tony?
Hmm.
Is he really in private the way he is in public? And the short answer is absolutely he is. He is the most genuine individual I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. He's probably one of the smartest men I've ever met. Also one of the kindest and most loving individual as well. He and his beautiful wife have a classically incredible relationship, and that shows in every aspect of his life. So he is the real deal in every regard. I have never seen him do or say anything to offend another person, but he is very, very demanding. When you work with Tony, you better perform. So he is that type of a person, and I admire him greatly.
Okay, so today in our show, I think we'll take advantage and take as much as possible from your advices as you are a
hmm
business coach. And I will start, let's say, with a person, let's say that he has never thought about having a business and also going little by little, and maybe he has never thought about his life seriously. Let's say he just lives his life without any, let's say, a boring one, let's say, and he's bored himself. He knows that, but he doesn't know what to do.
Sure.
Can we take somebody by the hand and show him on the way how he can change his life and to have a wonderful and interesting life as well? So,
Well, I think it has to start with some level of discomfort or frustration with their current situation. Many people have jobs that they love. They'd almost never think of doing anything differently, and for them, that's great, and they should that would be great. But then there are people who look at the bank account about 4 or 5 days before paycheck comes and says, "Hmm, I'm not quite making it to the end of the week here. This isn't cutting it for me anymore." And it's those people who have that level of discomfort that are the best candidates to start building a company of their own. And if you're not skilled or educated in a particular discipline or profession, it doesn't matter. All you really need to do is have the desire to want to do that. and then you just simply stay focused on what it is that you can do. And the idea is never risk your current situation by leaving your job to do this. We call that entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs work what I call a full day. So that's a full day starts at 9 in the morning when they go to their job, ends at 6 o'clock when they come home and have dinner, and then they go back to work till 9 o'clock again to work on their own business. And if you're willing to be an entrepreneur and work what I call a half day, really, a full entrepreneur day, half day, then you have what it takes to at least get started. And what I mean by getting started is the first process is a decision process. Where do I go? Am I, like, for example, if you have some abilities, if you have like technical abilities, if you know how to work with the internet, then your business would naturally gravitate towards that. If you're handy and you know how to fix things, well, I mean, you could put an ad and do evening home repair stuff for folks and get started that way. If you desire to go into a new profession like plumbing or electrical work or accounting, you could take all of those courses at night.
Right.
And then, again, the trades are very, very profitable programs to become skilled in. The last summer, I met a gentleman who had this incredible bus that was his motorhome, and we started to talk. It was a $2.1 million motorhome. And I asked him what he did for a living. He said, "Oh, I'm a plumber." I said, "Come on, nobody makes $2.1 million to spend on a motorhome as a plumber." He goes, "Oh no, I don't do the plumbing anymore." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I have a network of 40 trucks that go out and service the entire community." And I said, "Well, that's amazing. How did you start that?" And he goes, "Well, I told you, I was a plumber." So, but he had the ambition to do that, and he had some common sense and some basic knowledge of how to sell. So, if you have some basic instincts, that's where I would start, Arthur. I would start by following your basic instincts.
And to say the truth, while you were speaking, I just wanted to bring it back a little bit, and then we'll go on. So, does somebody has to go in the, let's say, sometimes people have to go down before they just go up. So, is it, how's it, is it always a need for people to go down to fall so they can go up again? What have you seen?
No, sure. I mean, it's happened. It happens a lot. People get fired from a job and they start looking for another job and they realize nobody's hiring. So out of quote unquote desperation, they start offering services to whatever types of companies that they can work with. And then at that point, over several months, that process may yield a very profitable enterprise that they have started for themselves. So what we call that sometimes is the gift of desperation.
Okay.
Desperation drives us to be better than who we are today.
Right.
And, that phrase comes from a 12-step program called Al-Anon, which I attended many years ago. And that the gift of desperation is what brings people to Al-Anon, because they basically are living with an alcoholic and they're desperate. They have nowhere to turn. So they come to Al-Anon and they say, well, you've been given the gift of desperation because you're here. Well, it works the same way in all areas of life. It doesn't have to be, alcohol abuse or drug abuse. It could be simply running into a disaster or look, life is up and down. You know this, Arthur. We go up, we go down. So if it's those times when we're down and we get desperate, it causes us to grow or die. It's that simple, really.
Right.
And so that's really where that comes from. So yes, it could come from desperation. It could come from tragedy. It can come from, I think about it as the universe giving you the signal that it's time for you to go out and be on your own. And that's how the signal comes through.
So that's a very good answer. Also, you said that okay, people. Let's say that I like the way that you explained that people, if they are doing something, they let's say they take more time on what they are doing, so they become better in one sense, right? And
Hmm.
also the other one is maybe they don't like, let's say they don't want to quit their job because they need to live, right? But to take the course, that's a very good answer. Yeah, I think it's very helpful.
Of course.
And
Well,
Mhm.
another thing to consider is that some people have a self confidence issue. They might say, well, look, there are a lot of people out there that do a lot better job than me, and they're much smarter than me, and all this other stuff. Well, those are just your inner demons talking to you.
Mm,
Here's something to remember: you only have to be better than the person you're helping to be good enough to start a business. And what I mean by that is now I know a lot of young people who start out with the idea that they want to be a coach. And, my answer is, well, go find somebody who you can help. You don't have to be, Tony Robbins to be a business coach.
right.
All you need to do is have one thing you could do better than the person who needs you to do it for them and get paid for your services. And you are in business.
Mm. That's That's really very good question, a very simple one. It's like because I have, now it's in style. What do you do? Oh, I'm a life coach. I'm trying. I've studied. And come on, sometimes they are young people. They do that. They just read books and they have no experience. Uh, let's say in practice. You have to be practical with people, then you can say, oh, I am good on that. Why not to study more? But they study first and then they say, okay, and they use the book, and they answer from the book.
Yep.
That's a good.
That's fine. I have a woman I know who started a stop smoking program.
Mhm.
And what she does is it's very inexpensive. I think it's $50 or $90. And before COVID, she'd bring a bunch of people into a room together and they'd meet for 3 sessions. And at the end of the third session, you were no longer smoking. And if you started smoking again, you got to redo the class or get your money back. I mean, she was very successful.
Mhm.
But here's what was interesting: people came to her after the no smoking session and said, I really need some help with my appearance.
Mhm.
Now I'd like to lose some weight.
Right.
Now I'd like to learn how to dress more professionally. And before long, she had built an entire business that started with a very simple thing that she did for $50 or $60 or whatever she's charged.
Mhm.
So it means very simply, you could start anywhere as long as you could help somebody with some problem. Then you have the potential to help many people with even bigger problems as you gain experience and knowledge in that topic.
Okay. So we go the person, we give, so he get the course and the others, and he start doing that. He becomes better. Now he wants to start a business. By the way, nowadays it's a little bit all the businesses in one sense they are being shaken a little bit from the internet, and with corona, everything. Okay, it was a an earthquake, let's say left, right, but also what up and down. So
Yep.
so now for people who have a business or they want to start a business maybe, uh, now it's everything online. How can somebody start something, let's say online, or where can he or she start something?
Well, I guess what I would start with is figuring out what you want to do first. So let's say you know that, and I'm going to just pick an example out of thin air. I just say, let's say that you want to tutor young people in on reading scores, or even teach music to other students who are learning an instrument. Well, then you'll need a website. Well, you might say, well, I don't know how to design a website. I don't know how to build a website. Well, do some research. Find out what other people who are doing the same thing that you want to do have as their website. And, pick 4 or 5 or 3 or 6 of these websites and then decide which is the one that is closest to the way you see yourself. And at that point, it's really a matter of finding someone who can help you get it done. Now, if you're not the type of person to do it yourself, and not many people are, you could use companies like Fiverr, Fiverr.com. Fiverr is a place where you could find someone to build a simple website for you for, who knows, 50 to 100 to $200. And if you want logo designs and you want everything to be super beautiful, it costs a little more. But you can get started with your own website for just a few $100s, and you could build it on Wix, Wix.com, or you could build it on GoDaddy, again, very inexpensively. And then of course you need to get people to that website. A website by itself is kind of like a tree in a forest. Nobody will ever visit the tree or hear it fall. Instead, I would suggest at that point that you have some form of a plan for driving traffic to that website. So if it's a local business, you could print up a few flyers and you, I mean, I have a friend who I coached as a chiropractor. In fact, he was my chiropractor, and he said, "My business stinks. How do I get more business?" And I said, "Well, are you willing to do a little work?" And he goes, "Oh yeah." I said, "Great. Let's print up a couple of flyers, and every day on your way back from picking up your kid at school, pick a different part of the neighborhood and make it a game with your kid and have them put the flyers in the mailbox and direct them to your website so they could see all the great services that you offer." Well, he started to do that, and he did it for about a week, and hardly anything happened. I think he got one call, but I said, "Don't worry, keep doing it. People save these little flyers." And he did it for 6 weeks straight. And in a matter of 6 weeks, he had increased his business by 25%. And new clients for a chiropractor are usually very lucrative because they buy a package.
Mhm.
So he was thrilled. So you could do anything if you're willing to do some work.
Mhm. It's like you think something, start doing that. Don't keep it there. Don't keep it in your mind and your papers. Huh? You just go for it.
And also, don't try and be perfect.
Mhm.
Nobody is. And yes, there'll be always be, listen, there's always somebody better than you, somebody smarter than you, but that should not stop you because you're also smarter than others.
Right.
And you could offer services to people who need what you know. You know, the way that I believe this civilization, that humanity was organized, is we were organized as a way of helping each other. And you don't have to be at the top of the pyramid to help everybody.
Mhm.
You just have to be able and willing to help another human being. And that is the gift that we were given here. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts we have here on planet Earth.
Right. I have thought about that, and it's like because if we had just okay, let's go just with the smartest one, then we will have just one TV, we'll have just one for everything, and the rest is
Right.
like yes sir, you know, and he will say something, yes sir, the rest of the world then, you know, for anything. But and I have seen also that there are some people which they are very smart and they just find the solution and they write it down, but they're not good in acting or practical. And so we have other people who uh, make it work in one sense, make it a
Hmm.
successful one, and then they teach to the others. They just okay, and it goes, let's say, from the top to the bottom in one sense. But also the bottom
Exactly.
one helps the top one, you know, in the way that you know what I mean.
I do.
Mm,
Because again, everybody needs help at something.
mhm,
And if you could help somebody else at something, then you can get that person to be better and appreciate what you did. And by the way, I know it's still to this day, one of my biggest thrills is helping another person. There's nothing better. You help another person and they say, "Thank you. Oh my goodness, without you, I couldn't have done that." And I mean, how's that feel? There's nothing better. So that's why a lot of people enjoy coaching because they're always in that place of helping others.
mhm. I have a saying that it's I like this one actually. I've heard it. I've read it somewhere, and it says that I like the way you smile and your smile, but I like it when the reason it's me. So
That's
you know,
very nice.
and yeah, it's really nice because I try to help people as well as much as I can
Yeah.
in my time and in my job as well. And when you see
Yeah.
people smile and they're happy because of you, so it gives you a double or whatever it is.
So true.
So
So true.
yeah, yes, Mitch. I just wanted to ask you, what about the time? How can somebody, let's say, how much time does somebody needs to to be, let's say, independent, to work for himself in one sense, and to have more free time and so on and so on?
What's a good question? I mean, it all comes down to money. Um,
Yes, yes.
if you work for a job and you make 25 or 30 or $50,000 a year, then the first thing you have to do is replace that salary with the funds coming into your own company. Well, for many people, that could take 6 weeks, 6 years, 6 months. It all depends on how hard you're willing to work after work. So after you come home from work, how hard are you willing to work? Are you willing to get out there and hustle? Then it will happen faster. If you want to take it as a little bit of a hobby in your spare time, it'll take a little bit longer. So it really is a matter of what you do. No matter what, it's not likely you'll be able to charge right away for what it is that you do. I mean, unless it's physical labor. But like, for example, if you decide to be a life coach or you decide to be a coach of any sort, my suggestion was coach a few people for free and make sure that the process that you're working with really works with others, and make sure that you get a testimonial for the work that you've done. So my suggestion at that point would be start with that, get some testimonials, find out what is fair in terms of pricing, and then offer to help others for a small amount of money after showing them your testimonials.
Okay. So, what what else do you like to share with our audience?
Yes. So a few things that I think would be, for anyone listening today, if you'd like to get a hold of me, you can go to mitchrusso.com, which is my website for my coaching program. And at the same time, if you're looking to get started, I for your audience. This is something that they could get for free that will give them 3 ways of bringing in new people for whatever service they're offering at little or no cost. And so this is a publicity system that they can use for free. And you go to profitstackingsecrets.com. And at profitstackingsecrets.com, they could sign up and they could get a free report, a free guide that I wrote that's fairly detailed and has a lot of great information about how to do 3 things. 1, appear as a guest on podcasts like this. 2, create press releases that actually get published. And 3, find others who want to partner with you as in a joint venture. If you do those 3 things, for the most part, they're low cost or free. I think a press release might cost you $29. But other than that, the other 2 are completely free. If you do enough of this and you keep doing it over and over and over again, sooner or later, you're going to get on shows. Sooner or later, you're going to find a partner. And sooner or later, you're going to get your press release published and bring attention to you, your services, and your company.
That's very good. So, I have one more question, if you don't want to add anything else.
That's fine.
So, what is the philosophy of your life?
Well, long ago, I watched as my family broke apart, and my father and mother split when I was about 14 years old, and my sister was about 12 years old. And one of the things that she and I had decided independently and almost secretly, we never talked about it to each other, was that we never wanted to go through the struggle that my mom went through after the divorce was over. Because after the divorce was over, she didn't have a skill to make money as she struggled to feed us kids. And so my sister and I made the decision that we would never, ever have to struggle for money. And so part of our life mission in the beginning was to become educated enough or skilled enough to make enough money to support ourselves and our families as we grew up. And we did. She became basically a judge for the Supreme Court of the state of New York. And I started a business when I was 25 years old. And so we both accomplished those goals. But then discovered that there was more to life than just
Mhm.
financial freedom. And that's the part where I think the beauty of life takes over. And that part is, what does it take to be happy? And that has been a lifelong discovery for me. And what I have found was that that is also one of the most pleasurable and most fulfilling things that I do, which is to constantly explore the art of being happy. And I'll give you one quick tip: turn off the news, stop watching the news. It's not going to make you happy. Unless it's the weather report here in Florida, that makes me happy all the time. But if you're someone who likes to watch the news, let's see how you feel when you're watching the news. You're not feeling good. So turn off the news. No one says you have to know what's going on minute by minute. And really, what are you going to do with that information anyway? News bombards you with situations that you cannot control or change. So why do you even care?
Yeah.
So part of people like the news because it's like thrilling to be afraid. Well, that fear raises all of the cortisol levels and stress in your body. And, over time, it makes you sick. So be happy, stop watching the news, go out in nature. Even if it's cold out, take a walk, eat good foods, don't eat junk food. I mean, I'm not saying everybody needs to be on a diet, but increase the quality and decrease the quantity of the food you eat, and you'll be happier.
Right. So thank you very much, Mitch, and it was a pleasure and a joy to have you in our show. And of course, it will be our honor to have you again if it's possible with your schedule and time and whatever. So, but thanks very much for your time and coming in our show and sharing what you shared. It was really helpful. I
That's great,
appreciate
Arthur. Thank you again for
it.
inviting me. And it was my pleasure to be here with you.
Guys, as you heard, take take a pen and write it down every single word and start it today. Don't wait, right? Till next time, guys. Goodbye.